So you're using AI for your fashion imagery. That's awesome. But you've probably already hit the big wall, right? How do you actually scale this stuff up without your brand's unique look and feel getting, well, totally watered down? In this explainer, we are going to build a system to solve exactly that, so your AI visuals are perfectly on brand every single time. First things first, let's be real about what's at stake here. You've got to remember this. Brands almost never lose customers because the product is bad. They lose them because the presentation is all over the place. When a customer sees a random jumble of different styles, weird lighting, and clashing moods, it just breaks their trust. It feels sloppy, and they're gone. And this is the absolute core challenge with AI. See, with a normal photo shoot, you have all these natural guardrails. The same photographer, the same model, the same lights, they all create consistency for you. With AI, all of those constraints are just gone. Coherence is totally optional, which means if you don't fight for it, if you don't intentionally design for it, what you get by default is pure chaos. So let's put a name to this thing, the AI inconsistency trap. When you use AI, you have this incredible world of infinite creative options, but that's also the danger, isn't it? Every single variable, I mean everything from the lighting down to a facial expression, can and will change from one image to the next unless you deliberately lock it down. And this trap leads to some pretty classic ways things go wrong. You see the model's face kind of drifting from one shot to the next. The lighting jumps from this beautiful, soft daylight to a harsh, ugly flash. The styling suddenly has some off-brand jewelry thrown in. The fabric looks totally wrong. The anatomy gets weird. Or, your luxury product is sitting in some cheap-looking room. This is the chaos we have to get under control. So here's the bottom line. It all comes down to one thing: uncontrolled variables. Your job, if you want to win at this, is to systematically hunt down every single one of these variables and bring it under your intentional, creative control. Okay, so how in the world do you do that? Well, you start by building a rock-solid foundation. We're going to call it an AI Style Bible. Just think of it as the single source of truth for your brand's visuals. It's the document that kills ambiguity and gets rid of all the subjective guesswork for everyone on your team. Now, your Bible needs 3 pillars. These are the absolute non-negotiable core. First, your brand's visual identity, basically the world your images live in. Second, your model casting rules. And third, your styling rules, what the model can and, just as importantly, cannot wear. Let's break each of these down. First up, visual identity. You have got to define the world of your images with super specific constraints, not just, vague vibes on a mood board. For lighting, is it soft diffused studio light or is it hard direct flash? For the background, are we in a seamless studio or a gritty urban environment? You have to be precise. You're basically building the laws of physics for your brand's universe. Next, casting. And listen, even if you're not using a single recurring AI model, you still need casting consistency. You need to define an explicit age range. You need to set clear goals for body diversity. What's the approved range of expressions? Is it calm and confident, or is it more playful and energetic? And what about the details, like rules for nails, makeup, and hair? This is what makes sure every model feels like they actually belong to your brand. Okay, so you've got your style Bible. That's the high-level strategy, the what. Now we need to get tactical. How do we turn that beautiful guide into a real, scalable engine that you can use every single day? This is where so many teams fall apart. They write this amazing guide, and then the next day someone just prompts "woman in a black dress." No, that's not going to work. You need a template, a structured prompt with different blocks for identity, for wardrobe, for the shot type, lighting, and quality. That way, you're only changing a few little variables for each product, and the core brand identity stays completely locked in. Now, we have to talk about the number one thing that just screams AI generated: the hands. AI is famously terrible with them, but you can manage it. You just can't leave it up to chance. You need to create a defined pose library. Rule number 1. Hands must be relaxed and they must be visible. You've got to avoid weird crossed arms and those crazy splayed fingers. I'm telling you, simple rules like this make a huge difference. And remember, your customer isn't just looking at one image in a vacuum. They're seeing a grid of products on your website, and that grid needs to look intentional, right? So you have to define your composition standards. What are the approved crops for different products? How much headroom should there be? Where exactly does the garment sit in the frame? This is the stuff that separates a truly professional e-commerce site from an amateur one. So we've built the engine to create consistency. That's great. Now we need to build the guardrails to protect both our brand and our product. This is all about risk management. Negative prompts aren't just for avoiding weird, creepy stuff. You need to start thinking of them as your automated brand compliance checklist. You explicitly tell the AI what not to do. Things like long acrylic nails, clutter in the background, incorrect fabric texture, or watermarks. This becomes your first line of defense, an automated brand protection layer. This right here is one of the biggest business risks with AI, and it's a trap a lot of people fall into. It's misrepresentation. Look, if your AI image makes a simple cotton shirt look like it's made of luxurious silk, you haven't created a great image. You've created a future product return and a really unhappy customer. Product truth, making sure the fabric, the drape, the color are all accurate, is absolutely everything. Now, to make sure all these rules are actually being followed, you need a workflow. But listen, it doesn't have to be some slow, bureaucratic nightmare. A simple 3-stage process works wonders. First, the generation pass, where you're just creating a bunch of options. Second, a brand QA pass, where someone checks it against the style Bible. And finally, a product QA pass, where your merchandising team confirms the garment truth. It's about clear gates, not slow committees. And here's something you can literally copy and paste for that final gate. Before you publish anything, just run through this checklist. Is the model identity consistent? Does the lighting match the spec? Do the hands and anatomy look okay? Is the garment truth verified? If anything fails the check, the rule is simple. You regenerate. You don't try to fix it in post. All right, let's pull all of this together. What is the big takeaway here? What really separates the brands that are winning with AI from the ones that are just making a big, expensive mess? It really comes down to this massive mindset shift. Amateurs are trying to optimize for a wow factor on a single image. Pros, they optimize for a consistent feeling across the entire brand experience. Amateurs write one-off disposable prompts. Pros build and use templates. And maybe most importantly, amateurs skip the product truth checks, while pros prioritize them to protect the business. And that brings us to the single most important idea from this entire explainer. If you remember one thing, let it be this. Being on brand with AI isn't about finding some magic prompt. It's about building a disciplined, repeatable system. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Take a hard look at how you're using AI right now. Is it still just a fun little experiment? Or have you actually built a professional production pipeline? Because honestly, the answer to that question is going to determine whether AI becomes a cute gimmick for your brand or a genuine superpower.